Alright, so the intro for Days Gone By the Offspring. The first thing we need to know is that we are in standard tuning, but the capo is being utilised at the 2nd fret, so we can make use of lots of open strings when we're playing this song. So the song opens with the kind of swell sound that is covering the first 2 beats of the bar. So we're going to be ready with our C power chord, and the count you would hear would be 1, 2, right on 3, 4 are the first 2 stabs. So that's nice and easy, just a C power chord there. And then we actually come into the main riff. So we're going to start here by playing the open D string, and then a 5-4 slide on the G string. Remember, all the numbers, the fret numbers I'm saying here, are in relationship to the capo being on and being 0. So we've got an open string on D, 5-4 slide on the G string, just doing this all with my index finger, back to open string on the D, and then picking the G string again, 4-2 this time. So that little segment. Then the open string again, and this time we're going to do a 2 to a pull off, 2 to open string pull off on the G string. That together. You can see the music is marked let ring. We want all these notes to wash into each other. So after we do the pull off, after we do the pull off from 2 to 0, we're going to do 2 open strings, D and G, and then a 5-7 slide on the D string, and then 5-4 on the same string. So that would make the first go round of the riff in bars 2 and 3 there. I'll play the whole thing after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the second go round, the riff is largely the same apart from the way it ends. So instead of doing the 2-2 open string pull off, we're actually going to do a 5-7 slide on the G string. Pick it again once you arrive at 7, and then we're going to do that power chord from the intro, the C power chord. Now I think that's actually played by another guitar on the record. They kind of intertwine, being 2 guitar players in the band, but the whole part I've written out here is trying to get you a very good representation of the song, obviously with just 1 guitar playable by 1 person. So if we play the whole first line there, bar 2, 3, 4 and 5, we get this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so the next line, you can see the riff is very much the same. Bar 6 and 7 are the same as we've already played. And then into 8 and 9 to finish this intro part of the riff, we do the 5 and 7 slide again. But instead of going back to our power chord, the other guitar does that, and we stay on that 7th fret, and we're just alternating, picking between the D string open and 7th fret on the G. So just crossing from what is bar 8 into bar 9, so we're picking 5, sliding to 7, keep the finger there, and then we're just alternating our picking from the D to the G strings. So if I play the whole of bar 8 and bar 9 together so we can get that rhythmically, 1, 2, 3, 4. So at that point, we move into the next half of the intro, and this is where the first guitar starts playing a lot of power chord stuff, and this other guitar plays this cool lead riff. Okay, so for this second part of the intro for Days Go By, the lead guitar is playing the riff that's written here, and the other guitar is playing a lot of power chord stuff, but I thought this is the more interesting part. So we're playing some slidey stuff on the D string, 5-7. Followed by the open string. That's going to keep ringing while we hit the 7th fret underneath. We re-pick the D, and then move to the 5th fret. And then re-pick the D again, but now we're at the 2nd fret on the G. You can hear these notes are ringing together a lot. And then in the D string, we're going to go 2, and 3 and 4 open string. So first 2 bars of this, bar 10, bar 11, sound like 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, missing it there. We'll try that again. 3, 4. That's better. So bar 10 and bar 11 are the same. They were a clean repeat in bar 12 and bar 13, and then almost again in bar 14 and bar 15, except that the end of the phrase is different. So if we just hone in on bar 15 there, we're going to play the open string on D and the second fret on G again. But this time we're going to go back to the D string and do a phrase that we very similarly earlier in the song. 5 to 7, picking 5, sliding 7, and then pick 5 again, slide back to 4. And then bar 16 we're going for a D power chord here. Whole bar of quavers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so with counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and into bar 17, 1 and 2 and is the same chord, and then we've got that C power chord coming back from earlier. So let's just put 16 and bar 17 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And then both the lines that we've just covered, so all the way from bar 10 through to 17, is a repeat of itself. So let's just put that whole section together. We'll just play it through once, but here it goes. Play along with me if you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, and then all of that would go again, but we won't repeat that now, just to save on time. So that concludes the intro of our song, and we're going to move into the verse. Okay, so for the verse of Days Gone By then, I've kind of honed in on the more picking guitar part. Again, just trying to be the most interesting thing and break up the sections and give them all unique, picking the unique parts in there, and the one that would hold up the most if you're playing this as a single guitar player, maybe in a band, or just playing along to the record. So this verse then starts off based around the classic D chord shape, but we're picking the notes individually. So first of all, we're holding our D chord that you see on the music that it says let ring, so we know we're going to be holding down this main D shape, and then maybe utilising this little finger with some hammer-ons and pull-offs as we go. So I'm holding the D shape, and I'm going to pick D string, G, and the B, back to G. And then with my little finger, this is how I'm going to do the pull-off, little finger on the 3rd fret there. And as I pull that one off, it's going to come and reveal the 2nd finger that was already holding down. And then we're going to pick the 3 on the B string. So that is a complete phrase. And the second half of that phrase, I picked the 2nd fret on the G. And this time I've got to briefly take my middle finger off because I want to hit the open string, high E, and then hammer it down onto the 2nd fret. And then finish the phrase by picking the B and the G. So first 2 bars of the verse, the D phrase of the verse would sound like this. 3, 4. We're really looking for everything to ring nice and cleanly there. And then we move into the bar 20, bar 21, and we're kind of having this C add 9 shape. So my 3rd finger is an anchor. If you think about the way the D chord is, my 3rd finger hasn't moved, but I'm taking the others off and moving my 2nd finger down to the 3rd fret of the A string. Similar thing, fingers aren't really going to move here, but we're going to do the picking is going to be the hard work. So picking 3rd fret on the A string, open G, B string, back to G, and high E. So we'll do that again. And in the second half of the phrase, B string, G string, and then as crotchets for beats 3 and 4, high E and the B string. So bars 20 and 21 together. We'll do that again. again. 3, 4. So if we put that whole first line of the verse together, it sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. And on to the next, which is 22, 23. We're going to have based around a G chord now. So again, my third finger's still not going to move, but I'm going to move my middle finger up or down, depending on how you want to look at it, to the low E string at the 3rd fret. And I'm going to be ready with my first finger for a hammer on a little bit later here. So again, we're holding down all the notes and we do our picking. So starting with the low E, G string, B string, G, and then high E. And on this high, you can see I'm utilising my little finger to get that 3rd fret up there. And then for this hammer on, I'm going to use my first finger and pick the open string, dropping down with my first finger, and then 3rd fret on the D string while I'm already holding that note. So that phrase all together, 3, 4. So the key there is having your little finger down, taking it off to then do the hammer on. Okay, so then we have bars 24 and 25, the D power chord. And this D power chord is nothing special, we played it earlier, but the rhythm here is the one that's a little bit broken. So we're playing 1 and 2 and 3, the chord is ringing there. For 4 and, we're going to take our fingers off, so we're going to have 2 open strings, the D and the G strings. So we're going to play 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we'll put those 2 bars together because the chord changes back to the D power chord on beat 2, which is a little bit odd. So 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We'll do that again. 24 and 25. One more time. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So just putting the whole second line of the verse together, it would sound like this. 3, 4. And then if we put the whole first half of verse 1 together, we get 3, 4. Alright, so into the second half of the verse. What was bar 26 all the way through to 29 remains exactly the same as we've done before, as does the G part, bar 30, 31. But the last thing that's going to happen is the D power chord again, but now we're just going to have 1 bar of it, which is so very straightforward. Just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Dead simple to finish our verse. So then we get into our chorus where we're going to do some power chords. See you there. Alright, so for chorus number 1 then, we've got some power chords happening. C power chord, 3rd fret, starting from the A string. Down to the bottom string for the G power chord, 3rd fret again. Open D and 2nd fret on the G for the D power chord. And A power chord. And you can see these are straight quavers, so we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the whole time. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to jump in and play the whole first line of the chorus. Join me if you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Straight on to the next line. The only thing that changes, instead of putting the A chord at the end of the line, so 1 bar of D, 1 bar of A, now we just have 2 bars of the D power chord. It doesn't change. So let's do that. This is the second line of the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. third line of the chorus actually goes back to the way it was the first time round, so C, G, D with the A at the end of the phrase. And then there's just 2 extra bars of the chorus, which would be the C power chord again and the G power chord again. So let's put this whole chorus together after 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would be it for chorus number 1. I'm playing with the same sound here, which is just a very slight crunch, but it's a pretty clean sound. Obviously on the recording there's a lot more distortion going on, so feel free to dial up that sound as well. I'll have a pedal or something to switch between the cleaner kind of sound and the more distorted sound. But then we get to the instrumental break. Okay, so then we get to the instrumental break in our song, and this is really just the intro, or the second half of the intro. It's the lead guitar riff. So we're not going to spend much time here, but we'll play it through just once to get a bit more practice on it. So play it with me. We're going to play it after 4, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I'm just going to do once round there. And then we hit verse number 2. Alright, so verse number 2 then. Really, everything we covered in verse number 1 remains the same. Yes, the words have changed, but the chords, the rhythms, the patterns for the chords and the picking remain exactly the same. So we'll play all the lines through just once. We'll do them in pairs, but we're not going to stop and break them down again, just to get a bit more practice on them. So here's parts of verse number 2. These are the first 4 lines. First 2 lines. Bar 55 to 61. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the second 2 lines, bars 63 through to 69 in the tab here, we're going to go through those again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and then we hit chorus number 2. See you there. Alright, so for chorus number 2, similar to what we did earlier in chorus number 1, we got the power chords again, playing straight quavers. So as we've already broken down and gone through it, I'm going to take it 2 lines at a time, but we're just going to play it through to get a bit of practice on it. So join in with me. Here we go. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next 2 lines of this would be bar 78 in the tab to 85. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to jump forward to the ending of our song here, as it's the only part in the song that we haven't covered at all yet, and it's different from the other parts. There's a pretty prominent acoustic guitar part coming in at this point, but I've tried to stay with the picked electric part that's more on the right hand side of the mix if you were listening in headphones or a good set of monitors. So for this ending part then, we're playing some picked ideas through chords that we've already had in the song. It's really important that the notes here ring. So our first bar, the C idea for bar 1, 3, 2, would sound like this. 2, 3, 4. So I'm playing 3rd fret on the A string, picking D and G. There's a tied note in the middle there, so that G note is going to ring over, and then we're finishing with D and G again. Crotchet at the end. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4 would be our counting. 3, 4. Then we move to the bottom E string, 3rd fret, for our note of G. And this time the picking doesn't go up at the end, it returns back to that low string. And in 1, 3, 4, we're going to have what is basically a D chord. You can hold the whole chord if you like, to help you remind the fact that it's a D shape, but we're only going to pick the open D string, and then the note that's under our first finger here, the 2nd fret of the G string. And then that's going to ring. Then we've got this A minor phrase, so 2 picks of the open string, and straight up to the open G. And then this little passing note, 2nd fret of the A string, so that's going to lead us back on the next line into our C chord again, so just that A phrase, 1 beat 3 5 in the music. So if we put that whole line together, just before we move on, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can hear that 2nd fret really wants to lead up back to the 3rd fret for the phrase to start again. So at 1, 3, 6, it does start again. And this is where the acoustic guitar really shines through at the end, but we're going to strum the chords here. So we're going to a D chord, and our strumming down, down, up, up, down, up. So that's 1, 3, 8, 1, 3, 9. We'll do that again. 2, 3, 4. And then at 140, we're holding the same chords we just were, that we were picking through, but now, again, this is mostly the acoustic guitar on the track, we're now strumming the chords. So I'm strumming that with the same pattern that's written out for our D chord earlier on, down, down, up, down, up. So you could choose not to play these chords at the end, as I know it's not really part of the same guitar part, but like I said earlier on in this tutorial, that I want the song to be playable for one person and represent all the kind of main meat of the song. Alright, so that wraps it up for this tutorial. If you have any problems, just get in touch, let me know, and I'll see you again soon for another one.